All right, this one's a really good one to break down because, frankly, there are lots of really great details that we can get into in this game and talk about Liverpool's vulnerabilities, but also Liverpool's strengths. There are a lot of those both on show tonight, and some of them, I think, obvious to most people. Some of them, you've really just got to be watching every 90 minutes that Liverpool play and watching the progress or watching where the thoughts are going in order to kind of keep up with it all. And of course, Liverpool have just come back late again against another side. The fifth match in a row where Liverpool, is it really a late comeback if you've drawn, you've let a 2-0 lead go? No, what you're really showing is your team aren't controlling and they are not pacing the game the way that they need to. And they're certainly not keeping the stranglehold that it felt like they had at times on this game. And they are letting it get away from them, but they aren't necessarily, therefore, behind Atletico Madrid. And I would have said it in my preview. I'll talk about Atletico Madrid just for a second to put all the context around this Liverpool side. Madrid are a good side. Madrid like a really gritty, nasty, horrible team to play because they're so savvy and because they've got players like Koke and Llorente, and they've got all these kind of unknowable elements or kind of bits which don't really show on the stat line apart from the goals. And you hate that because this Liverpool team, still getting to know themselves, still working out what it is that, we're exceptional at, or where we need to hone things, or we just need to take a little edge off, whatever it is. And within that, Atletico Madrid, who are low on confidence, but, kind of big on identity and big on what I would have said in my preview, if I hadn't been working, was ego. And ego, I think a lot of people think is only as a negative thing, or they think of like something that you can bruise. But if it is bruised, it fights back, it bounces back, it tries to like break out and do something and make itself known. And playing someone like Atletico Madrid, you always see that ego. First of all, you saw the ego at the end of the game. I'll talk about the final goal and I'll talk about, Simeone's reaction to it, which, by the way, I think is perfectly reasonable. Reasonable in the sense that he's angry. It's unreasonable to say that giving someone the middle finger in a ground is grounds for throwing a fan out, especially after he's done some very lewd gestures inside a stadium. But yeah, talk about that in a second. Their ego, bruised, coming into some sort of idea and form going into this game. And like Liverpool, what felt like a much more gentle start to the season was potentially going to be broken up by Atletico Madrid. But no, not tonight. And with that, I think you've also got Liverpool's approach to this game. We've got a lot of massive games this season. The expectation is extremely high on us. And we started Alexander Isak. He got roughly 60 minutes, between 55 and 60 minutes, depending on where you think he was substitute. He was substitute 57th, 58th minute. Literally, Hugo Ekitike on, him off. But I've got to admit, already what we're seeing is the impact and the draw of Alexander Isak, right? I think it's worth just talking about this early on. Now that we've said, they were savvy, they were wily, there were all these things, all the things you'd hate to play. Liverpool essentially being seen as a bit of a naive side and probably also being underestimated in terms of their ego and all those kind of things. Talk about that experience in a second. We did let Atletico Madrid into this game. And frankly, again, it was another game where people tried to rough us up. They tried to level the playing field. And having someone like Isak who got hobbled early, there was a boot that went through his foot on his foot from, who was that? The French sounding name, what the hell's his name? Anyway, bad tackle. I didn't appreciate it. And I didn't appreciate a lot of the physicality in this game, but Liverpool clearly played it really, really well. And we got off to an absolutely flying start. The free kick, which turned into an Andy Robertson goal. It is an Andy Robertson goal, but obviously it's a deflection that then goes in. Critical. Again, people are going to say, well, fortunate to get a deflection. Yeah, well, you're unfortunate to concede a free kick because we were so on the front foot in the first couple of minutes. So high pressured, so into Atletico Madrid, finding so much space. Everyone was just finding space and time. And there were so many different times where we just had so much momentum because we were allowed to do so much with the ball. That I just thought, wow, we are going to walk away with this. And Liverpool began to get into a bit of a rhythm. A couple of minutes later, a brilliant Mo Salah goal as we were allowed to camp out on the edge of their box. Not just, by the way, the creative players, also the deep-lying playmakers, the Gravenberches of this world. Dominic Szoboszlai and Gravenberch start at the centre midfield. I love it. It's front-footed, it's dynamic. Maybe it's not as combative as Alexis McAllister. Maybe there are different things that Alexis McAllister brings to the start of these games and the management of the games. But I do love that balance that Szoboszlai and Gravenberch have immediately behind Florian Wirtz. And especially when we then have Frimpong out on the other wing, Salah coming inside a little bit, really feels like the opposition can't deal with that congestion in the middle, and they certainly couldn't. Mo Salah then breaks through on the end of like a Frimpong overlap, Gravenberch working his way through, he gets bodied off the ball, and Salah picks it up, slots it away so perfectly. He was so alive, he was so ready so early on, and he kind of continued that throughout the game. He was very sharp, very on it, always looking for opportunities. Even before that goal, I think he like sort of just managed to kind of, it wasn't even shaving the post, he sort of, it was just looking to put one far corner, didn't quite make it. And all Liverpool players were getting that kind of space. Gakpo was getting the time he needed. Frankly, Alexander Isak was kind of getting more time than he could deal with on the ball at times. And I think Liverpool were forcing it, were overthinking it a little bit tonight. And I loved it. Like, we were given so much space. It was partly why the conversation I had earlier with a couple of friends while I was filming was a lot of people saying, well, Wirtz doesn't really get the physicality of the Premier League. You can see he's working his way up. And just focus on Wirtz just for a second before we talk about Isak. Wirtz has arrived, A, to massive fanfare, B, to a much more prominent club. It's not to say that Bayer aren't a big prominent club in Germany. I'm sure there's a lot of focus on them in their local area, and I'm sure there's a lot of focus on them during that year when they were so exceptional, 18 months. It's not the same as when you then go to a Premier League team and the expectation of not only your own, but the people around you, the players, also that your talent brings, but then that the club just had in general, can be big. And growing into that is a process. I think that, there are people with slightly less pressure on them. Maybe Frimpong, I think, obviously has pressure on him, but slightly less than Wirtz because he didn't arrive for the same fee and maybe the expectation's different. He's playing at right back. Still think there's high expectations, and maybe it's unfair to say he doesn't have those expectations, but you know what I mean when I say that. This is a star signing and a premier one because of his price. And I wouldn't blame him for growing into that. And I also wouldn't blame this Liverpool side at the start of the season for not instantly clicking. We're clearly playing good football. We clearly have counter-attack, very good. We clearly have this focal point in Isak going, right? He works his way through congestion. He's really great against that low block, finds that space in between the space really, really well, as does Florian Wirtz, gives Wirtz someone to play off. And that's it. Like, Wirtz found space because he's a European player. He's someone who's going to adapt to the Premier League, but is already very comfortable in European football, and it works. It's really great to watch him. He's confident, holds people off so much easier. You can see, and this is what I'm talking about, of him growing into this role. You can see he's just more confident in Europe. You can see he's just someone who sort of goes, hey, is this somewhere I've been before? This is something I feel comfortable in. You're in La Liga or whatever. I'll hold you off. I'll spin away. And there were a couple of times he did lose the ball, but he's playing in the most high risk or the most congested area of the field. He is going to lose the ball. There are going to be times where he thinks, I'm going to try that, and he's not quite in the same wavelength as whoever it is that he's trying to get the ball through to. That's his job. We used to defend Trent for making risky passes, and suddenly what we're expecting is this, not us, but people are expecting this level of perfection from someone like Florian Wirtz or Mo Salah or whoever. And when we see it with Salah, and I think, Wirtz should be looking along and going, that's the longevity I'm looking for. That's the at-homeness that I feel. Obviously there's pressure on him, but the comfort with which he performs when he finds that flow, when he finds that zone that Mo Salah is just so sharp in and looks so dangerous in is great. And that made so much space. Wirtz had gravity. Isak definitely has gravity to him. He pulls players towards him, makes space for Wirtz, makes space for anyone who's on the overlap. You could see that when not only was Wirtz trying to find Isak, but Isak was trying to find Wirtz, and he was then cutting across the box. Isak plays that little ball. Frimpong strikes clean through the ball. Doesn't even go through the ball. It's literally just a clean swipe away from the ball. And again, another Liverpool dangerous attack is allowed to just float by. And you could see, obviously, we were enjoying our football. I can't criticise that. I'm not really here to criticise anything. I really enjoyed the game. But you can see we're enjoying that element. And it's really good to watch. I think if you were to speak to any of these guys right now, but particularly the new guys who are coming into the team, the guys, if I was to sit down for a conversation with Frimpong or Kirkes, not that I have and not that I'm lucky enough to, but I think you probably hear them say to you, we've not even clicked yet. I'm still working out where I fit into this team. I'm still working out what my overlap is, and you can see again, that's coming. I'm still working out where Salah is, and that is training sessions, that is matches, that is high pressure moments, that is just delivering. And we are still getting goals, we're still getting wins. And there are people, of course, who will say this is unsustainable. And to an extent, I get it. But again, I broke this down earlier in the week. None of these late goals have been in the same fashion. It's actually been a very inconsistent fashion that we've lost control of games. And maybe there are some things you can pick out where you say, hey, we should solve that, like letting Athletico back in. Maybe in our rest defense, we're allowing people a bit too much space. Maybe there are moments where when other teams get ahead of us, our game managers in the field aren't quite imposing themselves enough, aren't quite putting their foot down. But then you've got the opposite argument of that as well. You've got like the chat about the leaders tonight, Mo Salah, Andy Robertson, obviously deflected, but great to see Robertson in that position, Virgil van Dijk. And we'll get to Van Dijk's late goal because I just want to cover the pressure around that situation. But let's talk first of all about why we let Atletico Madrid back into this. First of all, Llorente and that ego, that unknowable element, the element that I will talk about in Liverpool immediately after this. We allowed him silly shots, silly space, snatching at things. First, obviously, one goal deflected, the other goal, well taken. But again, should we have allowed him that space? Should we have allowed him that time? Should we have allowed that kind of chaos to occur if we had that level of control? And absolutely not is the answer. I think we did get a bit too comfortable. I think we did let the game get away from ourselves when we didn't need to. It wasn't that we were grasping at things. It was almost we were too comfortable against Atletico Madrid, and they saw that and struck. They knew there was a way back into this. These guys are putting shots against the post, shots wide. They're getting in each other's way. They are so confident. We were, I don't want to say overconfident, but we were brash almost. And we allowed that to get in the way. And you know what? Fair enough. Like, I think, again, we should be punished for those kind of things. We were lucky to get away with it. And we probably will be punished at some point this season. And there will be a aha moment where people go, see, it was unsustainable. But also, then you got the other side of that. If we're talking about Atletico Madrid being wily and good at managing games and all these things, what people lose or miss about Liverpool is that exact same element, the savvy nature of Andy Robertson. Why play Robbo tonight? First of all, great decision maker, knows when to give and go, very solid defender. Look at him on that free kick, or look at him, he's always making things awkward. He's always combative. He's been a great European footballer and someone who's really good at coming up against savvy, nasty sides for years now. Puts it in their faces. He almost loves playing La Liga teams. Puts it in their faces. And it's just Andy Robertson for that amount of time. And you love him for that. I love him for that. So, again, great. But it's more of that management. It's more of that ego. It's more of that swagger. And I think a lot of people look at Slot and go, is he arrogant enough? Is he a little bit inside himself? Is he any of these things? And because they think we're stats and tactics, they miss the human side of this Liverpool team. They miss the character. They miss the belief that this side have. And when people talk about late goals, they do not talk about the belief that this side have to continue and go and get these late goals. They are not dwelling on the other goals conceded. They are not dwelling on the moments that got away from them. They're saying, we have a repeatable system that we have been so confident in throughout this whole 90 minutes that we can do that right up until 94. We can do that right up until the end of whatever half. We are so confident in what Slot is instilling in us that there is a repeatable set of values and ideas that, boom, we can get out there and in pressure moments we can perform. And some people are going to say, hey, well, we should be capitalizing more on set pieces. We should be doing better on the counter-attacks we had. Viat's got in the way of whoever it was, who then got in the way of Salah, and Salah hit the post. And those are big chances. Those are things where when people say another time where Liverpool had to score late, we created a lot tonight. And not just from one area. It wasn't as if we were just a set-piece side or just a team who get from the counter-attack or whatever it is. We were creating from, let's go back to it now, Alexander Isak. He looked like he's able to find space so exceptionally. You can see instantly why we spent the money. Creating the space for Wirtz, creating the space for Salah, creating the space for everyone around him. But also then, when he gets the ball, little shuffle and he's away. Gakpo is very similar. But let's focus on Isak for now. I think Gakpo actually deserves a lot of credit for tonight. That's a little side note for you. I don't have that much insight into Gakpo. but I love his consistency, and I can't wait to see him playing off or alongside Isak. It's satisfying already to watch. Back to Isak. Great player. His swagger, the way he kind of took this game. He's only been here for a week or so, and after the international break, all those kind of things. And we've only really been able to bed him in a little. But look at him already. He's already making great relationships. Wirtz is already finding him. There's already that understanding the other way. There is that natural ability, which is just going to get you through games if you're a brilliant footballer like him. But on the flip side of that, there is obviously also the fact that he is he's a £130 million player. It's that flip side. Then let's talk a little bit about the game got away from us. And Andy Robertson kind of made this point in his post-match. I want to talk about this just for a second. Conor Bradley, Alexis McAllister, Hugo Ekitike, Rion Gamoa, Kirkes. Those are 5 quality subs. And who we left on the bench tonight was Mamadashvili, obviously, Freddie Woodman, obviously, Joe Gomez, Leone, Wataru Endo, and Jayden Danns. Jayden Danns, nice seeing in the Champions League squad. But great seeing Gamoa get on. And he was effective. I think, he wasn't that quite, he didn't have the one touch that changed the game, but he was out wide, influential. He was out wide, walking, going past people, creating corners, creating pressure, building that momentum, building that repeatable element of what builds on the opposition. Conor Bradley. I think Conor Bradley in defence, not great tonight. Conor Bradley in attack, really good. I think Alexis McAllister, good tonight, but maybe got caught a little too far down the field a couple of times. Maybe was told to do that. Hugo Ekitike got into traffic a lot. Very front-footed. I really enjoy watching him. Obviously not a classic game from him, but good. And again, a focal point. It's hard to impose yourself as a striker when you come on, especially the game state we were in. Still appreciate him, still like it. Spoken about Rio and Kirkes. Kirkes was subbed on the weekend. Nice to see him come on, make some very solid decisions, make some good overlaps, not do anything too risky. Bomb on. Van Dijk, keep going, you got it. Brilliant. Sets up 2-2. We've got to do something. We've got to up the pressure. We've got to work out where we go from here. Yeah, great. Corners, set pieces. And you could see Liverpool going, we just need one. We got that one. Lands on Van Dijk's head, and there is just is wide open because there's no one on either post. Ball just in. It's not even a bullet header. It's just a very solid, well taken. The way that Van Dijk takes them, I'm sure they're very quick, but they make it look cushioned. They make it look just well taken, well guided almost into the net. Comes across, it's such a satisfying header because he just goes bang. He's really great technique. His net goes into it. It's perfectly on time. Its velocity is perfect. And there we go. We're wheeling away. He's going into the corner. On his slot, happy birthday. It got his great moment. And, we didn't score with Isak tonight. I think he could have scored. I think there were plenty of times where he looked like he was coming close. We got our captain's goal. We got the experience goal. We got the savvy goal. We got the 3 points. That's really what matters at this game, especially in the group stage. And Atletico Madrid lost their heads. They'd already kind of lost it early on. I think they were trying to level the game from many different reasons. And they were very grateful. The ego element had kind of gone, we're back in it. Like, we managed to come back against Liverpool. That would be a big thing for them as well. But we just had that quality, that grit, that guile, the know-how to get through this game. And people are going to say again, another late win. Yeah, we dominated this game for a lot of the match. And there were times when, I think Atletico were very good. I think we allowed them into it a lot of the time. But when we were on, we were dominant and we were good. Simeone lost it. Simeone just completely leaves his body, and I don't even know what it is. A player said something, a fan said something to him. His own staff had to hold him back because he wanted to fight him. It was weird. It was an unpleasant situation. I rate it. I like it. You've gone to Anfield. You've been tilted. Get off the pitch. Referee gave him a red card for that, or for whatever the fallout was from that situation, and he was sent off. And Liverpool march Atletico home. We won't see you again until the knockout stages. Enjoy your football. Brilliant. This is also why I love playing someone once. You get a satisfying hit and then you just go. And it works. It's nice. This is very pleasant. Yeah, really enjoyable. And, you know, I'm sure there is something I've missed in a 20-minute rant. I really enjoyed all of it. I would say we're still looking for balance. We're still looking for control. Salah was my man of the match. I think Szoboszlai, again, another man of the match for me. Gravenberch, again, another great performance from him. Really balanced, really just great control, especially going forward. I appreciate him. I don't think we've quite got the midfield balance yet of like defence and attack, but I also think that's because people are working out how to bypass that, and then they hit Konate and Van Dijk anyway. Good game from Konate tonight, by the way. Quite enjoyed what he was doing. Goals came from that side, but I still think Konate looked quite sprightly, light on his feet, looked like he'd gotten through the pre-season and was kind of now beginning to enjoy his football. Good for him. And ultimately, you know, Alisson, I think, was dominant. Ball coming in, bang, it's his. And that's a kind of classic Champions League performance from him. I know he conceded 2, but, you know, it could have been more. Late on, ball was coming straight at him, holds it. Loved it. We go to Everton now. I'm going to do a little preview. I think it's, wow, time moves quick. It is tomorrow. I appreciate you guys watching this. I'll be dropping, obviously, the preview for the Everton game. Kick off early on the weekend. Massive game for us. Obviously, we go back to Anfield after that. I just want to check this one. Matches. Yeah, back to Anfield for this one. 12:30 UK, and then immediately after that, on the 23rd, we play Southampton. Then immediately after that, we play Crystal Palace. Immediately after that, 3 days away, we then play Galatasaray. Then, almost immediately after that, we play Chelsea. Then there's the international break. And then we play Manchester United with a new manager. Anyway, that's a joke. Relax. Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And of course, drop all your emotions, feelings, ideas, how good it was, thoughts down there in the Discord. That's absolutely free. If you want to be a member on the channel, just support what we do. Thank you so much for doing that. There is also a Patreon where we get a much better split. Appreciate if you do it over there. You will get some unusual videos on that channel as well. And I appreciate you guys looking in, spending the time, and just commenting. If you've got a super chat, do it. But if you just got a normal comment, put that down there too. I read a lot of these comments. I enjoy going through them. The YouTube Studio app's a little bit broken at the moment, so I'm finding it hard to come back to some of those comments because it's not quite cataloging in the same way. That might be something to do with me, might be something to do with you, might be something to do with YouTube. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and I'll be there in the Discord. I will chat to you guys in a little while. I appreciate you. Much love. 3-2. Good start. Let's keep it.